Urgent, unexpected news, reinforcements that may arrive at the Lakers are revealed. Stay until the end to find out who should arrive. But before starting the video, leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any important news from the Lakers. As the NBA offseason approaches, the Los Angeles Lakers are entering a crucial phase of roster evaluation. With the unexpected departure of star forward Anthony Davis, the team now finds itself in urgent need of a dependable presence in the paint. One name that has begun to gain real traction within the organization is veteran center Clint Capela, currently with the Atlanta Hawks. According to NBA analyst Anthony Irwin, Capela is likely to emerge as one of the Lakers' top priorities this summer. At 31 years of age, Clint Capela is no stranger to the demands of the league. With over a decade of experience and 11 NBA seasons under his belt, he has carved out a reputation as a consistent force on the defensive end. Renowned for his ability to control the glass, anchor the interior, and finish plays off the pick and roll, Capela fits the mold of a traditional defense-first big man, exactly what the Lakers need right now. In the most recent season, he posted averages of 8.9 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 1 block per contest, shooting an efficient 55.9% from the field. Capela's play style is also seen as highly compatible with that of newly acquired superstar Luka Doncic. With Doncic expected to command much of the offense, having a reliable rim runner and defensive anchor like Capela could prove to be a perfect pairing. Their pick-and-roll chemistry has the potential to unlock new offensive dimensions while also helping to cover some of the defensive responsibilities Doncic may not excel in. The Lakers are heading into an off-season filled with uncertainty. According to league sources, this year's free agent market is expected to be particularly tight, especially for teams with limited cap flexibility. It's not a market where someone like Steven Adams is realistically within reach for LA, and certainly not Miles Turner or Naz Reid either, Irwin explained. That's why Capela, whose contract could be absorbed using the taxpayer mid-level exception, roughly $5.7 million, is being viewed as one of the more attainable and logical targets. However, financial constraints could pose a significant obstacle. The Lakers are projected to have over $192 million committed to their 2025-26 payroll, leaving minimal room for additional spending. The main tool at general manager Rob Pelinka's disposal is the taxpayer mid-level exception, which allows teams above the salary cap to sign players for a limited amount, again just under $6 million. Capela is entering the final phase of his deal with the Hawks and might be open to a fresh start, especially if it means playing for a title contender. For LA, the pitch is straightforward but challenging. Convince Capela to take a reduced salary in exchange for the opportunity to compete for a championship alongside LeBron James and Luka Doncic. New head coach J.J. Redick is expected to favor a modern, balanced approach to both offense and defense. In that context, Capela's arrival could prove invaluable. He would provide much-needed stability in the rotation and serve as a dependable presence in the post, without demanding the ball or disrupting the offensive flow. While Capela may not represent a long-term fix, his addition would immediately address a glaring need for the Lakers. The team is focused on staying competitive without compromising its future flexibility, and adding a veteran like Capela under the mid-level exception could strike the perfect balance between ambition and prudence. Ultimately, Clint Capela checks many of the boxes the Lakers are looking for. He's experienced, defensively sound, effective in pick-and-roll action, and unlikely to demand a massive financial commitment. With few centers available on the market who fit that description and fall within the team's limited budget, he may very well be the ideal target. But Capela isn't the only name being discussed behind closed doors at El Segundo. As the offseason unfolds, the Lakers are preparing for a busy summer filled with negotiations, rumors, and critical decisions that could shape the franchise's immediate future. While Clint Capela may seem like an ideal short-term fix for the Lakers' frontcourt issues, the road to acquiring him is far from simple. The franchise finds itself in a tight financial bind heading into the 2025-26 season. With more than $192 million already allocated across the roster, thanks in part to the hefty contracts of LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and others, the Lakers are operating with very limited flexibility under the salary cap. In practical terms, this means Los Angeles cannot chase high-value free agents through traditional cap space. Instead, they must rely on exceptions, trade maneuvers, and persuasive recruitment. Their most powerful asset in free agency? The taxpayer mid-level exception, a mechanism designed to help luxury tax teams remain somewhat competitive in the market. Valued at approximately $5.7 million, it's a far cry from the eight-figure deals many players seek, but it could be just enough to bring in someone like Capela, especially if he's motivated by the chance to win. Rob Pelinka, the Lakers' general manager, will have to use all of his negotiation skills to make this work. Convincing Capela to accept a pay cut will require more than just a financial argument. The pitch revolves around legacy, opportunity, and exposure. Playing alongside LeBron and Doncic under the bright lights of Los Angeles offers something few teams can match: a global platform and a legitimate shot at a title. Capela, who is nearing the twilight of his prime, may view this as his best chance to compete at the highest level. After years of playing solid but unspectacular basketball in Houston and Atlanta, joining a contending team like the Lakers could be a career-defining move. Even though he might earn less than market value, the intangible benefits, team success, playoff runs, national television exposure, could tip the scales. From the Lakers' perspective, the decision also carries risk. Signing Capela means dedicating their only real spending tool of the offseason to a player who, while consistent, isn't necessarily transformative. His offensive limitations and lack of floor spacing could present problems in a modern system that prioritizes versatility. However, his defense and rebounding would immediately address two of LA's most pressing concerns. New head coach J.J. Redick is reportedly in favor of bringing in a traditional center to anchor his defensive scheme. A smart, grounded coach with a high basketball IQ, Redick values players who understand their roles and don't try to do too much. Capela fits that mold. He's a low-maintenance big who excels at setting hard screens, boxing out, and defending the rim. In a team that already features two ball-dominant stars, having a center who thrives without the ball is essential. Still, the Lakers' front office must weigh this potential acquisition against other pressing needs. They'll need wing depth, reliable shooters, and possibly a backup point guard. With the mid-level exception likely their only shot at a meaningful free agent signing, using it on a center, especially one who isn't elite, could backfire if the rest of the roster is left lacking. Internal discussions have reportedly grown intense in recent weeks. Some within the organization argue for patience, believing better options may emerge closer to the trade deadline. Others advocate striking early, locking in Capela before another contender swoops in with a comparable offer. Timing is everything, and in this highly competitive environment, hesitation could mean losing out. Another layer of complexity involves Capela's own ambitions. While Atlanta may be open to parting ways with him, there's always a chance that another team, perhaps one with more cap space or a clearer path to a starting role, could make a better offer. The Houston Rockets, for example, have shown interest in front-court veterans and could re-enter the conversation. If Capela is seeking both money and minutes, LA might fall short on both counts. All of these variables leave the Lakers with very little margin for error. Capela could solve a big piece of their puzzle, but landing him will require strategic compromise. The team must walk a delicate line between making the most of their limited resources and not overcommitting to a player who may only be a short-term solution. As the front office continues to weigh its options, one thing is certain: every dollar counts and every decision will be scrutinized. For a team that's always under the microscope, this off-season feels especially pivotal, not just for next season but for the franchise's direction in the years to come. When the Los Angeles Lakers hired J.J. Redick as head coach, it marked a shift in the team's basketball philosophy. Known for his sharp analytical mind and deep understanding of the modern game, Redick represents a new era. One focused on fluid offensive spacing, defensive accountability, and maximizing every roster piece through intelligent schemes rather than brute star power alone. At the heart of Redick's system is a demand for efficiency and role clarity. He isn't looking for high-usage players in every position. Instead, he prioritizes specialists who contribute without overstepping their bounds. This is where Clint Capela comes in as a near-perfect fit. Capela's skill set is tailor-made for what Redick is expected to run. As a traditional rim-running center, Capela doesn't need touches to be effective. He thrives on hustle plays, rolling to the basket, crashing the offensive boards and protecting the rim. His mere presence in the paint alters shot trajectories and provides crucial help defense. For a coach like Redick, who values structure and discipline, having a veteran anchor on the backline is invaluable. In Atlanta, Capela often played behind dynamic guards who relied on his screens to create space. His ability to execute pick-and-roll actions with consistency helped guards like Trae Young operate more freely. Now that same trait could serve Luka Doncic in Los Angeles. Doncic, known for his surgical ball handling and court vision, benefits immensely from a big man who can screen hard and dive quickly. In that pairing, Redick sees a reliable offensive set that can be run over and over with consistent results. Defensively, Capela would address one of the Lakers' most glaring weaknesses: rim protection. After Anthony Davis's departure, the team lacked a natural shot blocker. Makeshift rotations saw forwards like Rui Hachimura and Jared Vanderbilt trying to guard the paint, an unsustainable strategy that was ruthlessly exposed in the playoffs. With Capela on the floor, the Lakers regain a central defensive identity. Moreover, his experience matters. At 31, Capela isn't old by NBA standards, but he's seen enough postseason battles to bring poise to a relatively reshaped team. In Houston, he played deep into the playoffs alongside James Harden. In Atlanta, he was part of a surprise conference finals run in 2021. He knows the stakes, understands the pressure, and brings a level of maturity younger centers simply cannot replicate. Redick has emphasized the importance of veteran leadership in his early meetings with Lakers management. Though he's stepping into his first coaching role, Redick isn't naive about what it takes to win. Surrounding LeBron and Doncic with players who don't require coddling, who understand their roles from day one, is critical. Capela fits that bill. There are, of course, limitations to consider. Capela doesn't stretch the floor, which means the Lakers will need to compensate by surrounding him with shooters. Spacing becomes more complicated with a non-shooting big, especially when LeBron, whose outside shot has become inconsistent, and Doncic are handling most possessions. Redick will need to design offensive sets that mask this flaw, possibly running staggered minutes with a smaller, shooting-focused lineup when Capela is off the floor. Still, in terms of rotation structure, Capela adds invaluable stability. He allows the Lakers to avoid patchwork solutions like using power forwards at the 5 or overextending inexperienced players. During the 2024-25 season, the Lakers cycled through multiple backup centers, none of whom found lasting success. In fact, Jackson Hayes, once seen as a developmental project, ended the season playing out of necessity rather than merit. His struggles in the playoffs only highlighted how badly the team needed a natural center. Adding Capela would allow Redick to plan rotations with confidence. Minutes could be staggered more effectively, defensive assignments would be clearer, and the coaching staff could implement a more structured approach to both ends of the court. For a rookie head coach trying to build culture and credibility, that foundational stability is priceless. Redick has made it clear in private discussions that he sees Capela not just as a stopgap, but as a bridge piece, a veteran who can hold down the position while the team develops younger talent or plans for a longer-term option through the draft or trade market. In a league increasingly reliant on flexibility and matchups, Capela's skill set may not be flashy, but it is dependable. And for Redick, dependability is the foundation upon which success is built. While the Lakers' eyes remain on big-picture ambitions, the addition of Capela would mark a smart, calculated move in building the kind of team that can navigate the long grind of an NBA season, and beyond. While Clint Capela stands out as a viable and realistic target for the Lakers this offseason, he is far from the only name being discussed internally. With limited resources and an urgent need at the center position, Los Angeles has been quietly surveying the broader landscape of available big men, searching for any potential upgrade that aligns with their financial limitations and competitive aspirations. One name that continues to surface, both publicly and behind closed doors, is Brook Lopez. The 36-year-old veteran, currently with the Milwaukee Bucks, is set to enter free agency after the expiration of his contract. Despite his age, Lopez remains one of the most respected and impactful centers in the NBA. His unique skill set, especially his ability to stretch the floor as a legitimate three-point threat, makes him a particularly intriguing option for the Lakers' modernized system under J.J. Redick. According to Jake Fisher of Substack, Lopez is on the Lakers' radar, and there is a long-standing interest between both parties. The Lakers have long admired Brook Lopez. That doesn't necessarily mean they'll pursue him again this summer, but the expectation is that the front office will aggressively seek a center in free agency, Fisher reported. He also noted that the Houston Rockets could emerge as competition, especially if they fail to re-sign Steven Adams. This isn't the first time Lopez and the Lakers have been linked. The veteran center actually played for LA during the 2017-18 season, and though that stint was short-lived, it left a favorable impression on the franchise. Jerry Wolfel, another insider with strong ties to the Bucks organization, recently stated, "Keep an eye on Brook Lopez. He's originally from California, has ties to the Lakers, and if they can get him on a short-term deal, it would be a big win. The center position is tough to fill. There aren't many quality bigs available. Lopez would provide something Capela cannot: floor spacing." In 2024-25, Lopez averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, and nearly 2 blocks per game, while shooting an impressive 37.3% from beyond the arc. That type of production from a 7-footer is rare, and incredibly valuable in today's NBA, where spacing the floor is often the key to unlocking offensive creativity. Imagine lineups where Lopez draws opposing bigs away from the rim, creating more driving lanes for LeBron James and Luka Doncic. It's the kind of tactical wrinkle Redick would love to exploit. But there are significant hurdles to consider. First, Lopez may command a salary above the taxpayer mid-level exception, which would put him out of reach unless he's willing to take a substantial pay cut. Second, there's growing belief that Milwaukee may be ready to move on, focusing instead on retaining younger players like Kevin Porter Jr. If Lopez becomes truly available, several contending teams with more cap flexibility could swoop in with better offers. Age is another concern. At 36, Lopez is nearing the end of his career. While his production remains solid, it's fair to question how many quality seasons he has left. Would he be willing to accept a reduced role in LA behind a younger center? Or would he expect a starting job, making it more difficult to manage minutes and matchups throughout the season? Despite these concerns, Lopez remains one of the most attractive options in this constrained market. His combination of rim protection and perimeter shooting is rare, and his playoff experience would be a major asset to a Lakers team looking to make another deep postseason run. It's also worth noting that the Lakers are not the only team shopping for a center. Several franchises are expected to enter the free agent market this summer in search of frontcourt help. From the Warriors, who reportedly have 4 first-round picks to potentially use in trades, to the Rockets, who might lose both Steven Adams and Jeff Green, competition will be fierce. That reality puts pressure on Rob Pelinka and the Lakers to act decisively. Still, the calculus for the Lakers is nuanced. Brook Lopez may offer more on offense than Clint Capela, but he comes with more risk due to age and potential salary demands. Capela, meanwhile, is younger, more affordable, and better suited for a defensive anchor role, but doesn't stretch the floor. In the end, it may come down to what Redick values most in his first season as head coach. If he prioritizes defense and rebounding, Capela is the answer. If he wants to lean into a 5-out offensive scheme, Lopez provides a more dynamic fit. Either way, the Lakers cannot afford to wait too long. The market is limited and the margin for error is slim. As the front office weighs these options, one thing remains clear: the center position will be the defining move of this offseason. The right choice could turn the Lakers into title contenders. The wrong one could leave them stuck in mediocrity. The shockwaves from the Anthony Davis trade to the Dallas Mavericks were still reverberating through Los Angeles when the Lakers front office began assembling its post-AD strategy. For years, Davis had been the defensive backbone of the team, anchoring the paint with elite shot blocking and positional versatility. His departure, while controversial, was part of a broader strategic pivot. one that prioritized offensive ingenuity and long-term cap flexibility over star-centric dependency. The deal that sent Davis to Dallas was monumental. In exchange, the Lakers acquired Luka Doncic, instantly forming one of the most intriguing duos in recent NBA history, Doncic and LeBron James. While this trade brought offensive firepower, it left an undeniable hole in the middle. The Lakers were suddenly without a reliable rim protector or interior presence. The urgency to fill that void shaped every conversation in the front office moving forward. Davis had been more than a player, he was a system unto himself. His unique ability to switch onto guards, defend the pick and roll and recover for blocks made him a safety net for defensive lapses. With him gone, Los Angeles struggled to maintain its defensive identity. Opposing teams attacked the rim with greater frequency, knowing there was no longer a towering presence waiting to alter or erase shots at the basket. The trade deadline provided a brief glimmer of hope. Rob Pelinka orchestrated a deal to bring in Mark Williams from the Charlotte Hornets, a young center with upside and athleticism. However, complications with Williams' physical derailed the transaction. The agreement was voided, and head coach J.J. Redick was left scrambling to patch the front court. What followed was an uncomfortable experiment. Jackson Hayes, previously buried in the rotation, was thrust into a starting role. The results were underwhelming. While Hayes showed occasional flashes of energy, he lacked the timing, awareness, and consistency to anchor a playoff-caliber defense. In the postseason, he logged just 30 minutes across 4 games against the Minnesota Timberwolves. In Game 5, the decisive elimination match, he never left the bench. This failure highlighted the roster imbalance left in the wake of Davis's exit. LeBron and Doncic shouldered heavy offensive loads, but defensively the team was porous. The paint became a vulnerability rather than a strength. Opponents scored easily on drives, and the Lakers' transition defense faltered without a dominant rebounder or shot blocker to clean up mistakes. It also exposed how much Davis had masked structural issues. During his tenure, LA often played smaller lineups without a true center, relying on Davis to cover up those gaps. Without him, that strategy collapsed. Suddenly, the team needed to think differently, not just about replacing a superstar but about reconstructing the very foundation of its game plan. Redick and Pelinka quickly aligned on the need for a traditional center. Not a hybrid big, not a developmental project, but someone dependable. Capela, as previously explored, fit the mold. Lopez, with his shooting and veteran presence, offered another vision. But both scenarios pointed to the same truth. Life after Anthony Davis demanded a redefinition of the Lakers' identity. In previous seasons, Davis had allowed the Lakers to be selective in their matchups. They could go small and fast or big and physical, adjusting on the fly. Now they needed structure. The front office began placing a premium on players who could fill defined roles rather than play multiple positions. This shift in philosophy extended to how the team scouted the draft, approached free agency, and analyzed trade opportunities. Behind the scenes, LeBron James was reportedly supportive of the new direction. While losing Davis was personally and professionally significant, LeBron had advocated for Davis's arrival years earlier. He recognized the opportunity to retool around a younger co-star in Doncic and a system that leveraged veteran efficiency over superstar volatility. LeBron, now in the twilight of his career, preferred a roster that played with purpose and clarity. Doncic, for his part, welcomed the responsibility. Taking over as the face of the franchise was never going to be easy, but the challenge appealed to his competitive nature. He knew he needed help defensively, especially in the interior. That's why names like Capela, Lopez, and even Miles Turner kept resurfacing. The Mavericks had long struggled with rebounding and defense during Doncic's time in Dallas. In LA, he didn't want to repeat that pattern. Meanwhile, J.J. Redick began crafting his system around the pieces available. Without Davis, he emphasized perimeter pressure and defensive rotations rather than relying solely on rim deterrence. Still, everyone inside the organization knew that unless the Lakers addressed their gaping hole at center, no system, no matter how clever, would be enough. The Davis trade was a risk. It signaled a change in vision and a willingness to move on from a player who, when healthy, was among the league's best two-way forces. but it also opened the door to new possibilities. The challenge now was to turn that opportunity into a roster that could win, not just in theory but on the court. As the Los Angeles Lakers look to retool their roster following the blockbuster Anthony Davis trade, one challenge looms larger than any player acquisition: the salary cap. While the idea of pairing Luka Doncic and LeBron James has electrified fans and raised expectations, the financial reality behind the scenes tells a much more complicated story. With over $192 million already committed to player salaries for the 2025-26 season, the Lakers are operating with extremely limited financial flexibility. The core trio of LeBron, Doncic, and Austin Reeves accounts for a massive portion of that figure. Add in the remaining guaranteed contracts and pending cap holds, and it becomes clear why any acquisition must be meticulously calculated. The team's most useful mechanism in this restrictive landscape is the taxpayer mid-level exception, TPMLE, valued at approximately $5.7 million. While this tool can bring in a quality rotational piece, it pales in comparison to the contracts signed by starting caliber centers in recent years. That reality narrows the Lakers' options and elevates the importance of negotiating smart, value-conscious deals. Clint Capela, still under contract with Atlanta, fits within this framework only if the Hawks agree to a buyout or a trade that brings his salary within TPMLE range through creative maneuvering. Brook Lopez, while technically a free agent, will likely command more than $5.7 million annually, unless he's willing to accept a significant discount in exchange for a shot at another title and a return to California. The Lakers have no access to the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, around $12.9 million, as using it would hard cap the team at the first apron, something nearly impossible given their current salary commitments. They also lack meaningful draft capital to dangle in trades after years of star-chasing deals. All of this places pressure on general manager Rob Pelinka to find solutions that don't further compromise future flexibility or deepen the team's luxury tax penalties. Another obstacle is timing. With so many teams entering the offseason with cap space or mid-level exceptions larger than the Lakers, players and agents may choose to wait for better offers elsewhere. The Lakers can't afford to sit back. They must be proactive, persuasive, and opportunistic. This means selling their vision, not their wallet. The pitch. A chance to play alongside LeBron and Doncic, two of the best playmakers in the league. A shot at competing for a championship in the largest media market in basketball. For the right player at the right price, that's still powerful. Internal reports suggest that Pelinka is exploring every avenue, from minimum contracts for veteran big men to sign-and-trade scenarios that would allow the team to bypass hard cap restrictions. But each of these paths requires compromise and precision. Sign-and-trade deals demand cooperation from other franchises, and minimum signings often come with risk, either in the form of diminished skill or questionable health. Even if the Lakers manage to land a serviceable center at or below the TPMLE threshold, they will still need to fill out the rest of their rotation without breaking the bank. Backup guards, wing defenders, and three-point specialists remain needs as well. And that means balancing the roster becomes a high-wire act. Spending too much on one area could leave another dangerously thin. All of this is happening while LeBron James approaches what could be the final season of his legendary career. The organization knows it has a limited window to contend while LeBron is still playing at an elite level. At the same time, they're trying to build a sustainable foundation around Doncic, who is just entering his prime. This dual focus, win now, plan for later, complicates every decision. It demands that the Lakers not only hit on their limited signings, but also develop internal talent like Max Christie, Rui Hachimura, and potentially whoever they select with their late draft pick. These young players will need to contribute meaningfully to support the star trio, especially if more expensive veteran options remain out of reach. The financial tightrope the Lakers are walking is not unique to them. Many contending teams deal with similar constraints. But the expectations in Los Angeles are unlike anywhere else. The fan base, the media, and the franchise's own legacy demand excellence. There's little patience for developmental years or cap resets. JJ Redick, stepping into his first year as head coach, inherits not just a locker room of superstars, but the pressure to deliver results amid limited tools. He'll need to extract maximum value from minimum salary players, integrate new pieces quickly, and find creative ways to make mismatched lineups work. Despite the constraints, there's reason for optimism. The Lakers still have one of the league's most dangerous duos in LeBron and Luka. They have a deep playoff pedigree and a leadership team committed to squeezing every ounce of potential out of the current roster. But unless they can find a way to stretch that $5.7 million exception into a meaningful contributor at center, they'll face the same structural flaws that doomed them in the last postseason. The path forward is narrow and the stakes are enormous. Every dollar, every decision, every rotation matters. The Lakers don't just need talent, they need timing, trust, and a bit of luck. When the Los Angeles Lakers appointed J.J. Redick as their new head coach, eyebrows were raised across the NBA landscape. A former sharpshooter turned media personality, Redick had never coached at the professional level. But what he lacked in traditional coaching experience he compensated for with elite basketball IQ, a deep understanding of modern offensive systems, and a fresh perspective on player development and analytics. More than just a name, Redick represents a shift in philosophy for the Lakers. His basketball vision is centered around pace, spacing, and ball movement, an approach that demands high IQ players capable of reading defenses and making quick decisions. The Luka-LeBron tandem offers a strong foundation for this style, but Redick's system also hinges on a specific type of center. Someone who doesn't require the ball, protects the paint, and sets intelligent screens. Enter Clint Capela. From a schematic perspective, Capela is an ideal fit for Redick's game plan. He doesn't clog the lane with unnecessary post-ups. Instead, he thrives in pick-and-roll situations, rolling hard to the rim and drawing help defenders. That, in turn, opens space on the perimeter for shooters and creates driving lanes for playmakers. His ability to rebound and anchor the defense would give Redick a reliable base to build around on that end of the floor. Redick has emphasized that his system values vertical spacing as much as horizontal. This is where Capela's value becomes clear. His presence as a lob threat forces defenders to stay honest in the paint, which deters switching and helps maintain offensive flow. Redick doesn't need his center to stretch the floor like Brook Lopez does, though that's a bonus in Lopez's case. What he needs is someone who can execute screens with purpose, crash the boards, and protect the rim. Capela checks all those boxes. Brook Lopez, on the other hand, offers a different flavor. A floor-spacing 5 who can shoot from deep at a 37% clip, Lopez would give Redick maximum spacing in his offensive sets. His defense remains strong, thanks to his excellent timing and verticality, even at 36. However, his mobility is declining, and he doesn't offer the same pick-and-roll explosiveness that Capela brings. Redick's challenge would be balancing Lopez's slower pace with the up-tempo game he wants to instill. Whichever direction the Lakers go, it's clear that Redick has a defined vision, and that's critical. Too often in recent seasons, the Lakers lacked continuity in their game plan. Head coaches changed, systems shifted, and role players struggled to adapt. Redick wants to end that cycle with a consistent, principles-based approach that can be taught, scaled, and repeated, regardless of the personnel changes. The new coach has already begun collaborating closely with Rob Pelinka to identify the right kind of center to anchor his system. He's not just looking for raw talent, he's looking for fit. Basketball intelligence, effort on both ends, and adaptability are non-negotiable traits. In a Redick-run team, the center isn't just a rim runner or a shot blocker. He's a connector in the offense and a communicator on defense. Internal reports suggest Redick is also exploring how to involve the center more creatively in early offensive actions. This includes high dribble handoffs, quick rolls off ghost screens, and even some short roll playmaking. While Capela isn't known for his passing, Redick believes smart coaching and repetition can enhance those instincts. With Doncic and LeBron as primary creators, even a slight increase in Capela's offensive touch could pay huge dividends. Moreover, Redick values consistency. He's been vocal about the need for rotation stability, something that eluded the Lakers last season as injuries and coaching changes disrupted continuity. Securing a dependable big man would give Redick a reliable anchor in both the starting lineup and late-game situations. It would also allow players like Rui Hachimura and Jared Vanderbilt to slot into more natural roles, rather than compensating for the lack of a true center. Yet there's another factor Redick is acutely aware of: leadership. The Lakers' locker room is filled with stars, but Redick wants every rotation player to embody professionalism and purpose. Capela, a respected veteran with playoff experience, would not only bring skills but also set the tone for work ethic and defensive effort. That's crucial on a team where expectations are sky high and the margin for error is slim. Ultimately, Redick's first year as head coach will be defined not just by his philosophy, but by how successfully he's able to implement it with the tools he's given. Landing the right center, one who fits the system, complements the stars, and stabilizes the rotation, is the keystone to making his blueprint a reality. Whether that centerpiece is Capela, Lopez, or a surprise name from the trade market, Redick's vision is clear. The Lakers won't just run plays, they'll run a system. A system that works. A system that wins. While Clint Capela and Brook Lopez dominate the headlines as potential solutions for the Lakers' frontcourt dilemma, the reality is more complex. The center market in the 2025 offseason, while not exactly overflowing with talent, features several intriguing names that could offer value under the right conditions. With limited financial flexibility and urgent needs, the Lakers are forced to cast a wide net and think creatively. The franchise's main weapon remains the taxpayer mid-level exception, TPMLE, worth approximately $5.7 million. That narrows the field, ruling out most star bigs and even many mid-tier options unless they're willing to take a significant pay cut in exchange for a championship run. Still, a few names linger just below the radar, offering potential upside if the Lakers are willing to take calculated risks. One such name is Naz Reid, the dynamic center-forward hybrid from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Though currently under contract, rumors persist that Minnesota may need to move salary to accommodate internal extensions. Reid's ability to space the floor and stretch defenses would make him a valuable fit alongside Doncic and LeBron. However, acquiring him would almost certainly require a trade, which complicates matters for a Lakers team short on assets. Steven Adams, recently linked to Houston and other big man-needy teams, could also be an option, though it's unlikely. His combination of screen setting, rebounding, and toughness would offer a traditional anchor in the paint. But questions remain about his long-term durability, and at his current salary level, he's unlikely to be bought out or moved cheaply. Still, should he become available through waivers or a sudden team pivot, he'd jump near the top of the Lakers' board. Another intriguing veteran is Andre Drummond, who, despite a diminished role in recent seasons, still puts up efficient rebounding numbers in limited minutes. His ability to crash the glass and finish around the rim makes him a low-cost option, particularly if the Lakers are looking to solidify depth behind a more prominent starter. The Lakers have also reportedly kept tabs on Goga Bitadze, the young Georgian big man who showed flashes of defensive promise in Orlando. At just 25, Bitadze has room to grow and could be an ideal fit for Redick's player development goals. Though not a household name, he's the type of low-cost, high-upside bet that smart front offices take when cash is tight. There's also a possibility the team turns to a familiar face, Dwight Howard. The former Laker has expressed a desire to return to the NBA after a stint overseas, and while his prime is long past, his energy, rim protection, and veteran leadership could fill a short-term gap if other plans fall through. One wild card could be Mo Bamba, who was waived by the Lakers previously but remains a tantalizing blend of length, shot blocking, and occasional three-point shooting. While his inconsistency frustrated fans during his last stint, a new coach like Redick may be able to better tap into his potential. But it's not just about skills. Chemistry, durability, and cost all play crucial roles in the Lakers' evaluation process. Players who can't stay on the court, physically or mentally, offer little value to a team in a win-now window. That's why high-profile names like Miles Turner, despite their talent, are likely off the table. Turner would command a significant salary and trade package, something the Lakers simply can't offer at the moment. Meanwhile, the team continues to monitor the international market. Rumors suggest they've sent scouts to Europe and Asia in search of under-the-radar big men who could make the leap to the NBA. Though it's rare to find an impact player through this route, the Lakers have had success before, most notably with Marc Gasol, who came from the Spanish leagues before becoming an NBA All-Star. And finally, internal development remains a possible, though risky, path forward. Players like Jackson Hayes and Colin Castleton remain under contract, and while neither impressed consistently last season, Redick could decide to give one of them extended run during summer league and preseason to gauge their potential in a new system. The bottom line? The Lakers aren't short on options, they're short on time and money. The decision they make at center could determine whether the team is a true contender or simply a dangerous but flawed playoff threat. The front office knows that one missed opportunity, or one overpaid role player, could capsize their title hopes. Pelinka and Redick must balance fit, price and personality. Do they pursue the known commodity in Brook Lopez? Gamble on a bounce-back season from a younger name? Or go all in on Capela, who fits the team's needs but comes with salary challenges? Every player comes with risk. But in this market, fortune may favor the bold, or at least the creative. As the 2025 offseason gains momentum, the Los Angeles Lakers find themselves standing at a precarious crossroads. With Anthony Davis now a Maverick and no guaranteed replacement at center, the pressure mounts on Rob Pelinka and J.J. Redick to make a decisive move. The options, while limited, are clear. But the true danger doesn't lie in choosing the wrong center, it lies in not choosing at all. Failure to secure a reliable big man could trigger a chain reaction of consequences that threaten to derail the franchise's immediate championship aspirations. The most glaring issue would be roster imbalance. Without a true center, the Lakers will be forced to overextend players like Jared Vanderbilt and Rui Hachimura into roles they're not built to play. That's a recipe for fatigue, inefficiency, and defensive breakdowns, especially in a Western Conference stacked with elite frontcourt talent. The playoffs brutally exposed the vulnerability. After the failed attempt to acquire Mark Williams and the lack of reinforcements at the trade deadline, J.J. Redick had no choice but to lean on Jackson Hayes. Despite his athleticism, Hayes struggled with consistency, awareness, and physicality. In the series against the Timberwolves, he logged just 30 minutes total across 4 games and was benched entirely in Game 5. The Lakers were dominated on the boards, exposed in pick-and-roll defense, and often forced into small ball lineups that sacrificed rim protection for offensive flow. This isn't sustainable. LeBron James, now in his 40s, can no longer mask these structural deficiencies. While still elite, he needs support, not just from Luka Doncic but from a complete, functional roster. If the front office fails to deliver a quality center, they risk wasting one of the final prime years of LeBron's legendary career and sabotaging the early stages of Doncic's LA tenure. There's also the risk of internal frustration. Players notice when a team fails to address obvious needs. Luka Doncic, newly arrived and eager to contend, didn't sign up to play alongside a revolving door of unproven bigs. Redick, in his first year as head coach, could lose early credibility if he's handed an incomplete roster. Even minor locker room tensions under the glare of Los Angeles media could grow into full-blown distractions. Moreover, from a strategic standpoint, the Lakers' offensive system could collapse without a dependable pick-and-roll partner. Redick's motion-heavy scheme needs vertical spacing and solid screening to free up ball handlers. Without that, the offense risks becoming stagnant, relying too heavily on individual brilliance instead of cohesive execution. And defensively, the absence of a paint anchor would leave perimeter defenders vulnerable and increase foul trouble across the rotation. From a broader perspective, failure to secure a center now could have long-term ripple effects on the Lakers' identity and future roster construction. It would signal to agents and free agents alike that the team isn't serious about building a championship-caliber core around their stars. That kind of reputation lingers, especially in a league where perception shapes negotiations as much as dollars. The financial limitations are real. With over $192 million committed in salaries for 2025 to 26, the front office must operate within a narrow fiscal corridor. But that constraint can't become an excuse. Many contenders, from the Heat to the Nuggets, have found ways to remain competitive with creative use of minimum contracts, oversees scouting and strategic player development. Pelinka and Redick need to think outside the box. Whether that means targeting a trade for a lesser-known young big, convincing a veteran to take a discount for a title run, or gambling on a player returning from injury, boldness is essential. The status quo is not an option. There is, however, a silver lining. The urgency of the moment could serve as a catalyst for clarity. With clear needs, defined roles, and star leadership in place, the Lakers can offer incoming players something many franchises cannot: immediate purpose. For a veteran like Clint Capela, it's a shot at redemption and relevance. For a rising talent, it's a chance to shine on one of basketball's biggest stages. That pitch still holds power, especially in a league where opportunity is everything. But they must act. Inaction doesn't just waste a season. It erodes trust, undermines culture, and delays progress. The Lakers cannot afford another year of what-ifs. The pieces are nearly in place: Luka and LeBron, a new coach with vision, and a front office with resources. What remains is execution. The summer of 2025 won't just define this season. It could define the next 5 years of Lakers basketball. Will they rise to meet the moment, or let it slip away? News credits: LakersBrazil.com and MSN.com, and image credits: Getty Images.